I feel like education can be a very good tool to end this menace, because once someone is educated, once I am educated, as leader, I cannot go back to that kind of life. The attitude of my community to people that have gone to school, they normally call us wajinga, because once we go to school, we disconnect from this kind of life. And as well, the most heartbreaking thing is that sometimes we, the educated people in Samburu, take part in fueling the conflicts. My name is Daniel Dida, a student at Tangaza University College, pursuing a Bachelor of Education in Grammar and Literature. I was born and grew up in Samburu County, Baragoi. Samburu County is in northern Kenya, and the main economic activity of people in Samburu is livestock keeping, and that is what my family had ventured into earlier on. From my forefathers to my parents, that was the main economic activity for us. And I was born at the time when we did not really have much livestock, because the drought that we faced and the intertribal conflict made us susceptible to poverty, and that is what really happened. And that is what made me go to school, because there was nothing to look after. And in Samburu, young boys will have to always look after the animals. That is why I had to go to school, because I didn't have anything to look after. I started my primary education in the year 2003 in Natiti Primary School, and in 2011 I completed my primary education. And throughout my schooling, my childhood, I was faced with challenges that normally face a child that grows up in northern Kenya. Most of the times there was lack of food, because my family had relied heavily on livestock keeping, and now we are living a different life, that is living in a somehow urban place, now transitioning from livestock keeping to living the life in town was a little bit difficult for my parents. So most of the times we could go without food. We could go to school to look for food, and in most cases, most of the people up there encounter education later in life. But the main thing is going to look for that lunch in school, and that is how we grow up over there. Susceptibility to lack of access to safe water. Sometimes there is no water, and that is how we grew up. After completing my primary education, a friend came up and sponsored my high school education. I joined Baragoi Boys High School in 2012, having scored 321 marks from Natiti Primary School. And from that point, I was beginning now a new phase of life, a new phase of education. I had never been to a boarding school. This was my first time. My dad had really tried all he could to offer us a very good life, but it was very challenging for him, because he was used to just slaughter an animal or sell an animal to take care of the family, but there were no animals, there was nothing to offer, and that is why a friend came and supported my high school education. On 9th of February is when I reported, in 2012, is when I reported to high school. The most heartbreaking thing of that time, I reported to Form 1. I remember it was a Thursday. I went with my brother, I was with my father on that day. And on Friday, I attended the assembly as usual. Over the weekend, I fell sick because it was a new environment for me. And on Wednesday, I was going to the hospital. And as I was going to the hospital, my father visited me just to know how I'm faring on with the new environment, with the school, and he gave me 100 shillings that day before going to the hospital, just to buy some mandazis for tea. And unfortunately, that was his last day of life. When he went home, he slept and he did not wake up again. So that was on Wednesday. On Friday, someone came, picked me up for the burial. It was so sudden. He was not sick. He had never fallen sick all his life. I'd never seen him down. So that was now the beginning of the toughest thing that I ever faced in this life, because I had not even started learning, and now this is a new thing that has come to me, something that no one was expecting. And it's good that he came. That 100 shillings was a way of saying goodbye to me. And from that point on, I could not concentrate in class. I would always wonder how that had happened. I would concentrate for 5 minutes, the rest of the time just thinking about how I can be a fatherless person now, and remembering all the sacrifices that my father was making to make sure that we are fine, providing security for his family, because you know, when a father is there, no one can dare touch you. So I was wondering how life would be. So the entire year, I was just thinking about how life would be. I did not really receive any the necessary support that I needed, because I was really having a low self-esteem. I knew that I'm already a failure in life. I was ready to have a D+ if I pass in KCSE. That was in Form 1, because when we report to high school, always the first term is when we shine with A's, but I got a C+. Yet I was the second person in this class when you look at the KCPE marks. So I remember I even did some exams without knowing that they ever existed in the syllabus. I remember business studies, though it became one of my most favorite subjects later. I did business studies without knowing that it ever existed. When I saw the questions, I remember that there is a teacher who has been saying something like this in this class. So that is how tough it was. When coming to Form 2 in 2013, I was on sponsorship. A friend of mine was sponsoring my high school education. Is called Father Roberto Sibilia. He was a very good friend of mine. He's still a very good friend of mine, a father to me. Because we had a number of other students that were struggling with fees, and anytime you could think of supporting another person, we could discuss between ourselves. So I discussed with Father Roberto that I can transition from Baragoi Boys to Baragoi Day School so that we can accommodate more people, because most of us were struggling with fees, and it was a very good idea to just bring everybody on board so that everybody can access education. And that is how I came from Baragoi Boys to Baragoi Day School, a school that was just starting. It had started a year ago in 2012. Now it's in 2013. Form 2 is the pioneer class. So in this school there were no teachers. I remember we had the principal, the deputy principal, and some few teachers who could multitask, do a number of subjects. We didn't even have a cook. We were the cooks ourselves. We could go on shifts. Today you are the ones cooking, and that is how we came up with a school motto, let us strive together. even if it is the school principal that has passed by and found that the fire is dimming off, he can do something to make sure that we have food at lunchtime. So it was a very collaborative environment. Though we didn't have much, by this time I was now able to focus on my studies. I had a little bit recovered. That is when, for the first time, I got a B in exams, and I was performing pretty well. I came back to my feet, and throughout the journey in Baragoi Day School, there were a couple of challenges. The main challenge in Baragoi Boys was lack of water. We were not showering more often. So that is why we were called, we were given a name called Ngorokos, the guys that don't shower, because we did not have water. We could have a cup of water. After dinner, you have a cup of water, one for one person. So there was no much water. And in Baragoi Day School, at least we were showering because we were coming from home. But we did not have food in the beginning. We were hosted in Baragoi Primary School before we went to our own grounds, where we now started cooking for ourselves and organizing this team to cook today, another one to cook tomorrow. By the time we were in Form 3, we had already gotten a number of teachers that were supporting us, some few facilities here and there, but we didn't have a staff room. I remember most of the times our papers got lost because teachers are marking in the open, and Baragoi is sometimes very windy. It just blows a paper and you don't have your paper after doing the exam. Yeah, and in Form 4, by the beginning of the year is when there was a ton of events. We lost 2 students. We had lost 2 students by this time to the gun. One of them was in Form 2 and one was a Form 4 a candidate. He was a very bright young man. It is just because of inter-tribe conflicts that we lost 2 brilliant minds during that time. And that is when we could not even go to school the whole year. We were in Form 4, registered, and we could not go to school because of insecurity. The school is located to a place that is susceptible to being used as a battlefield for where people engage in gunfire. You could be in class and see someone squatting and shooting. And sometimes, I remember one time when we were in class in the afternoon, and the neighboring community had stolen livestock from the other. So the guys were coming to class. Where did these goats go through? And then we showed them. They went through this place. And within 5 minutes, the school was already a battlefield. And we ran away. We came back the following morning. We were very resilient. But after our classmate was killed, we did not report back to school. The education department tried its best to get us back to school, provided security, but as soon as security disappeared, we disappeared together. So that is how things were. We were already registered, but we did not even finish our syllabuses because we did not have enough time to do what we were expected to do. And we did our KCSE. We did not really believe in ourselves because we had not covered the entire syllabus, but we tried our best. I got a C+. We had 1 B minus, yeah. We had 1 B minus and 4 C pluses. And in this school, even by that time, I don't know how far they are now in terms of facilities. We did our practicals in a youth empowerment center, and we used a gas cooker to do our practicals. If you ask me what a Bunsen burner looks like, I don't know. Yeah, so that is how the situation was. And in 2015 is when I completed my high school. And now another challenge was now the financial limitations of joining the campus. I tried my very best. I got an admission to Cooperative University in 2016, yeah, to study information technology. But due to financial limitations, I could not report to Cooperative. I did a number of other applications to colleges and universities, one being JKUAT, MKU, Eldoret Polytechnic, yeah, and a number of others that I've forgotten. So in 2017, now I had tried my best to do something to make sure that I support myself. I had already come back to my former school in 2016 and volunteered as a teacher. At least I was getting around 6,000. 6,000 was a lot of money for me that time. Yeah, so I did that for 8 months, from February 2016 to August. Yeah, 6 months or 8, I don't know. Yeah, so in 2016, someone promised us that they were offering us a scholarship. You know, when you're vulnerable, you are susceptible to promises that don't really work out most of the times. And that is how I left Baragoi Day School as a teacher and went to Tambach, TTC. I looked at the environment, what we were promised versus what we found here. I found out that it was not true, and I came back. Some of my colleagues continued, and after 2 years they could not graduate because no one ever paid the school fees that we were promised. So I came back, and in 2017, that is when I started volunteering with Kenya Red Cross Society. Because I do play piano in church, and that is what made me learn typing in a computer very quickly. There is this time Kenya Red Cross was having a field cash transfer program in Samburu, Baragoi, and since I was working in a cyber, I was called upon to come and support, just to key in the names of the beneficiaries, and that is how I started volunteering with Kenya Red Cross Society. After that, I was given an opportunity to do evaluation of the same project, post-disbursement monitoring and all that. That is how I now delved myself into Kenya Red Cross Society. And in 2019, I started being a youth leader in Samburu County as the youth secretary, because I had already done a number of projects with Kenya Red Cross Society. So I became a youth secretary in 2019, and in 2020, was it in 2022? Yeah, last year is when I was elected the youth chairperson for Samburu County. Kidogo how I came back, I came to Tangaza because there is so much that happened after that. I came to Tangaza in 2020, having worked in Samburu Doctors Plaza as a receptionist in 2019, the whole year. I still work with them remotely. We still support each other. They have become my family, and I've become one of their own. I worked there as a receptionist, and there is this one time when someone posted on a social media platform, our WhatsApp community group, that anyone who is willing to start a Bachelor of Education in January, please inbox. I inboxed the person. Within 10 seconds, I did not receive a response, and then I was working already, typing a lot of things on the computer, but I had to just call him and have my phone on my ear as I still work. So I talked to him, he told me what to do. I did the application, submitted it through the systems that other people were doing. It was a scholarship offered by Tangaza University School of Education under Miss Ankara program. So that is how I came for the interview. I passed the interview and I began my classes in January 2020. And this was now another big challenge that I already started because the scholarship was partial. I had to take care of my accommodation. I've just come to Nairobi. I think I had come to Nairobi once or twice before, so I don't even know more about Nairobi. I started on the day that I came, was on 6th of January. Someone hosted me, and you know, in Karen, the landlords give an allowance of time when you can host a visitor. So this guy had to host me for 4 days, and after 4 days, I would have arranged myself on how I can accommodate myself in Karen. So on the 4th day, that night, my guy told me, now, tomorrow I'm bringing you your bag. You will find it on the gate. So you just go to classes. After classes, you'll find your bag on the gate because your days here have come to an end. So luckily, one of my friends from Baragoi had reported that same day to school. So I went with him, but I kept my bag at Mr. Kabare's office. He was the admissions coordinator at that time. He's now heading a Department of Linguistics. He has been my lecturer for the last 4 years and also an administrator. Yeah, so his office was my closet. My bag was in his office. When I want to pick some clothes, I come in, I pick, and then go. I want to bring and drop something in my bag. Yeah, so that was before I settled fully. And in a month's time, we settled somewhere. It was not really comfortable for me, and my cousin was doing his internship here in Nairobi. It was a very good coincidence for us. So we were looking for a central place where I can commute to school and he can commute to town. So that is how we ended up in Lang'ata. And someone who we tasked to look for a house for us, the best place that was found was Lang'ata Southlands Village. So it was a very new environment for us, where there are no toilets, where there are no showers. It was very challenging. So when 1 month, the month of February, after the month of February, that is when COVID-19 came in. And we were very happy because we were now free to go back home because the life was very tough for us. Sometimes we did not have food, but the challenge with us, we did not have anyone to call to tell them that we don't have food. So we have just been on our own because I'm the last one in my family and the first one to go to school, to go to the university. So you can tell that you cannot really have someone to rely on and to call most of the times to tell them that you don't have food, your gas is over, of all that. So that is why we just had to be ourselves and fight for ourselves. And God has been very faithful.